Drew, so good to see you. We're starting with an important question. Are you taking on too much risk? 4 signs you might be. Risk isn't just about numbers, it's about how you feel when market conditions change. So let's talk through 4 signs that you may be taking on more risk than you should. Number 1, you check your accounts constantly, but how often is too often?
So that's a great question. And honestly, something I talk about with people a lot. It's
Yeah.
going to be a very personal thing for you. Some people want to know what's going on. Some people want to know what's going on because they're afraid. And I think that's kind of the big difference is when you're checking, how are you feeling emotionally when you're checking? And whenever
Right.
you see the results, what's that doing emotionally too? Because you're not going to want to be making changes all the time, and you don't want to be just misinformed on things. So you want to see what's going on with your accounts, but you don't want it to be ruining your day thinking, oh, I need to check my 401k, I need to check my TSP,
Right.
and just
Right.
terrified of what you might find in there.
Right, good point. All right, next, ask yourself, do you lose sleep when the market drops? That being said, Drew, it is so hard to tune out the headlines sometimes.
Yeah, unfortunately, news a lot of times has a negative bend to it. So they're going to invoke those negative emotions. So that's where it's really important for you to find out what your personal risk tolerance is so that your investments or your TSP or your accounts are invested in what you're most comfortable with. So then it can take that emotional feeling and the dread when the market's going down because you're still set up to what you're most comfortable with.
Right. All right. Number 3. This one is kind of my favorite. Third sign you may be taking on too much risk. You've made panic-driven decisions before. This is known as emotional investing. And because you and I are Seinfeld fans, the best way to explain it is through the eyes of George Costanza, right?
Yes, definitely. And this is pretty good. And especially thinking about this year ahead that we just had with what the market was doing. If you think about what happened in April, there's a lot of people that went through kind of this curve that you have here on the emotions of things. And unfortunately, if in April, when things went down, especially talking TSP specific, a lot of people were really, really nervous and moved a lot of their funds into the G fund, the money market. Now, if you look at the overall return of 2025, it ended up being up about 15%. The S&P 500 was in the end. So if you made those moves back in April, then you locked in those losses and you didn't get the bounce back later on. So that's why going back to personal risk tolerance and understanding what it is and having someone understand what your risk tolerance is and what you're comfortable with is most important because then that takes more of this emotional decision out of what you're doing with your investment.
Right. Decisions based on data, not how you feel at the moment. Good point. And then on a related note is you feel pressure to chase those returns. So looking for those highs, we all know this as FOMO.
Yes. And we're in kind of an interesting time right now where, you want your portfolio to be diversified so that you're good in both situations. We have a lot of concentration risk going on right now, especially in the S&P 500. And with that, you almost feel a little bit like you're being penalized because of your diversity, because you're not chasing all those crazy gains that are going on. But understand there's an up and there's a down. So it did bounce back in April. But if you're diversified and you're set up to more your risk tolerance, you can weather the ups and downs a little better and have more of a consistent experience instead of just riding the roller coaster ride that's been going on lately.
Yeah, more than even just weathering it, that your financial plan has accounted for, planned for that volatility. And I think then that begs the next question, Drew, which is how can working with a financial advisor help us stay in line with our risk tolerance?
Yeah. So the one big thing is everybody's experts in their own fields with your own job. This is not necessarily always something that you want to try to be an expert on as well.
Right.
So it's good to have somebody that they're in and dealing with this stuff every day so that they can help align things to personally how you want them. That's the big thing. Don't be investing in what other people say other people do. It needs to be about you. But then also let someone take that peace of mind, help you have that peace of mind and take this load off of worrying about what's it going to do. How should I do this? Have somebody that knows this, knows you, and you can work with and have this relationship with, because the other thing is too, is it's not always going to be the same every year of what your accounts to do or where you're at in your plan. So this is a long ongoing thing that makes that you're keeping on track and on target for where you want to be in the future.
Absolutely. And again, just having that peace of mind, knowing that the financial plan has accounted for all of this, again, with data as opposed to how we feel at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
So Drew, if somebody would like to sit down with you, talk through, making sure they are invested the way that they should be, because again, that's a unique for everybody, that they have that financial plan. What's the best way to reach you?
So you can call us here at the office. Our number is 260-488-8300. We also have a website, millardfg.com. You can go on there, and there's a spot to book appointments there too. Another little side note is if you're a federal employee, we actually have a tab on there too that's specific to you to get some extra information and to look at some different things on your benefits as well, because that's an even more complicated thing added into this whole retirement plan.
Yes, we have great video library there. Drew, thank you so much for your time today.
Yes, thanks for having me, Erin.